Good morning, boys and girls. We're back to walking the dog. It's the 5th of July. I'm sorry, June. Running ahead of myself. Enjoying every day. Warmth. Yes, Moscow can get pretty damn warm. This week's a little cooler because we got rain coming in and out. But last week it was about 30 degrees every day, so about 85 Fahrenheit for you standard-bound folks who don't know how to convert to Celsius. Today it's probably around 20 already Celsius, and temperature's going up. Sun's nice, sunny. Okay, so do fulfill several requests of people who complain that they only got to see a few seconds of my dog. There's the dog, Drago. Boy, good boy. So yes, there's the big dog. Drago is Serbian and Bulgarian for dragocенny in the Russian word, which means precious. He just looks like a little precious, doesn't he? He's marking his territory everywhere up and down this trail. There's a lot of horses that go on this trail, people riding horses. So the first time he saw a horse, I barely held him in place because he just went nuts. He's trying to run away. These giant animals walking by him that he'd only seen from a distance. Hey, the horses didn't give a damn that he was there, but he was going nuts out of fear. So there you go. So what do we got right now? We've got the Petersburg Economic Forum, which is already being a big success. Basically, you have the entire South, global South, China, India, all the big players coming in. Looking at it, signing deals between themselves, deals with Russia. And it's, the interesting thing is there are American representatives that always show up too from various corporations. But the U.S. government, obviously, the Biden regime, and some will say the illegal Biden regime, doesn't want anybody commentating on it. Now, those U.S. representatives, corporate representatives that come in, they don't really stand out. I mean, they do their thing. They're not going to give any speeches. They're not going to talk about anything. But people like Ritter do. And I took an interview with Scott Bennett. He's also a whistleblower, PSYOPs, Army officer who got arrested after he blew the whistle on really screwed up charges. I mean, he and I were discussing this for filling out a Army housing form incorrectly. He was sued in a federal court and went to jail for a while. This is ludicrous because military personnel are sued by the Unified Code of Military Justice, not by federal judges, not by state judges. They face trial from a tribunal of military officers, senior rank. If you're a colonel or a lieutenant colonel, then you'll have colonels and generals trying you. That's how the system's supposed to work. Obviously, if you do whistleblowing of any kind on Hillary Clinton and her folks, you get a whole different racket and screw everything that the system's supposed to work as. Second of all, at the very most, something like that should be is normally administrative fine. Well, then again, so is Donald Trump's verdicts would have been normally an administrative fine for anybody but. Hillary Clinton, basically for the same thing, paid $8,000 in administrative fines. Okay, let's up the inflation, $16,000 but these days. Inflation really is killing most people in the U.S. It's here in Russia too. That's the unfortunate thing about fiat currencies. You got to have some inflation to keep your economy going if you want your economy to expand, because otherwise you're not going to have enough money to pay people and to pay for things. And that was the problem in Russia in the 90s. It physically didn't have money. It wasn't that it didn't have wealth. It didn't have money. There was no paper money or electronic money with which to pay somebody. So you couldn't pay your employees because you physically didn't have money. You couldn't sell things because the buying side physically didn't have money. So they went into a barter system. And thankfully, that all ended around 1998 with the ruble crash. So anyways, as we go on, more dog. So there's your second dog hit. So obviously, people who are going to say anything against the regime are going to be suppressed, and we're entering the active phase of suppression of our police state. And the brutality from here on is just going to get ratcheted up. Anybody that's talking out, especially former military officers, people like Colonel McGregor, Colonel Black, anybody like that, they're all Larry Johnson, former CIA. Guys like these are going to be taken down because the regime cannot stand any kind of criticism, because the regime is here forever. It's forever, folks. For those of you who haven't actually faced this reality, because most of humanity suffers from what's called normalcy bias. Normalcy bias is, yesterday was okay, the day before was okay, last month was okay, today's going to be okay, and tomorrow absolutely will be okay. And this normalcy bias is the inability for people to react and comprehend that their world has radically changed and may change instantly. This kills a lot of people, for example, during major storms or earthquakes, things like that. Psychologically, they seize up. They can't face reality. And then when you add to normalcy bias the fact that most Americans, and Europeans for that most part too, most Americans and Europeans, they've been growing up on these myths of Western freedom, Western democracy, and all this other crap that realistically most of the time never really existed. Let's not forget that in the United States in 1780s, they passed a law forbidding a genre of music that said that living under the king was cheaper and better than living under a republic. So right off the bat, you had censorship. So much for that absolute freedom of anything. No country can survive with absolute freedom, because that's called anarchy. So all governments will put some kind of controls, not just criminal actions like murder or rape, but for other actions. But then the people are told all these lies, myth about all their freedoms and such. And there you go. So you have what you have at that point. And once you get into this active phase of repression, because the Democrats have now used the judicial system to make sure they will not, they can suppress their opponents, and in this case Donald Trump, their main competitor, I doubt he will survive to see the elections. I mean, he can appeal, obviously, this verdict, and they can drag it out. I mean, the simple fact that it's a federal offense tried in a state court is already an illegality. Never mind everything else that was going on in that kangaroo court. This is worse than Stalin's kangaroo courts. I mean, literally, look up what Stalin's kangaroo courts looked like, and they had more seniority in judicial controls and judicial elements than this trial of Trump. So, also watched an interesting interview with Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump's son. So, which in the end, the interesting part right off the bat was Carlson finally admitted that, my God, I've realized that these people are willing to kill me and my children, and they're willing to do bodily harm. Like, well, thank you that you finally realized reality. Because yes, they are. And people like Tucker Carlson are a very active element that they need to get rid of. You know, and then Trump's son, can't remember his name, sorry. He's talking about, he's hitting the nail on the head about the problem, and that the Republicans aren't willing to fight, and partially because the Republicans aren't willing to fight because there aren't very many populist Republicans. The majority of Republicans are in the same boat as the Democrats, and if they're the minority party, but they're getting to feed off just as much, they don't care to fight. Why would they want to fight a system that's also feeding them? So, I mean, let's start with that. They have no incentive to fight. Then we get to the point of what to do. And, you know, he's not going to say what needs to be done, obviously. When the big tyranny comes, and it's come, It's just already getting that foot is already in the door, and it's walking in through your doorway, and it's going to walk in real fast. Of course, he won't say what really. Maybe he's not even capable of thinking of what needs to be done. So he goes back to, well, we have to fight politically. Well, you can't fight politically. And I'll explain why. Because once that party has used the judicial system to suppress its opponents, it cannot physically leave power. Even if those people want to leave power, they cannot leave power. And they cannot leave power because if they do, they damn well know that the same thing's going to get done to them. Here's a little flower image, field of flowers. This is actually a medicinal herb called Ivan Chai. Very beautiful flowers. You take the leaves, you let them slightly ferment, then you put them in the oven, dry them out, and you make tea out of it. It's got a lot of vitamin C. It's got a lot of other vitamins. This was actually, that flower was a really, really massive export in the Russian Empire, Europe-wide. And then after the Bolsheviks took over, it totally collapsed. And they kind of forgot about it until World War II kicked off. And you had to keep the army healthy. So they started cultivating it again and dishing it out to the army. Like I said, a lot of vitamins in it. Ivan Chai. And then after World War II, they forgot about it again. And, people still brewed it in various villages, places like that. But as any kind of serious production, it went away. And then over the last 10 years, it's gotten really popular. Now, tried making it at home, and it's just a pain in the arse. The process is complicated enough. Well, it's not so much complicated, it's very, very time-consuming. Because you have to slow heat it in the oven. Basically, it'll take the oven 1 or 2 days to get to that point. So it's just easier to buy it in a store. And like I said, the flower is beautiful. There was a couple of years ago, somebody downwind of this area was growing it, downwind of my neighborhood too. And the pollen got everywhere, and the seeds got everywhere. And all of a sudden you had it growing everywhere in the wild. So whole fields covered with it. Here's some more. As you can see, very beautiful flower, and very good stuff. So anyways, so I'm again putting out this warning, especially to people. Well, first of all, I'll tell you this. Having 2 passports and living in America, as long as one of those passports is American, does not give you immunity. I know this from, well, not personal experience, but the experience of one of my friends. He's got a Russian passport and has an American passport. And he moved to the U.S. for a couple of years because he's got a business there. He's got business in Russia too. He's supposed to be there for 3 years, getting the new business up on its feet with his American partner. And he was informed that he was under investigation by the FBI. So that was 5 years ago. He's still under investigation by the FBI. So that's interesting. They're investigating him for 5 years now, having no charges. But they did confiscate his American passport, and they confiscated his Russian passport, which is illegal to do, but it's the U.S., so legality of an action has absolutely no bearing on who or what action is going to be taken, not by the U.S. government. It does what it feels like, and the Constitution of the United States, just like the Constitution of most any European country, which are mostly, all of them are now police states in one form or another, is just a piece of paper that you show to children and you beat upside the head foreigners with. Say, see, you're an inadequate. We have a constitution. We have these freedoms. We don't give a damn about those freedoms in all reality, but we have these freedoms. It's a good selling point. Pashli. So, there you go for that point. So, food for thought, boys and girls. My Patreon's link is in the description. If you want to sign up, I will be doing podcasting on other material that I don't cover here, on life in Russia, more on the front. I'll be heading down to the front soon. So I'll tell you all about it. I'll be taking questions too directly. To sign up, it's $3 a month. It won't kill anybody. Not even a cup of coffee anymore. At one point, $3 a month could buy you a McDonald's Happy Meal. I think you can kind of smell the Happy Meal these days for $3 a month, and it's not so happy. Or if you want to support me, I've got my bank number down there too, Bank of America. If you want to support me and do a transfer, I will more than happily accept any kind of support. Spread the links, hit the like button, subscribe. We'll keep going forward. Try to get my Buy Me a Coffee up, but for some reason it's not linking to my Bank of America account. I guess it's a good thing I forgot to close that Bank of America account when I left. So, yeah, it's actually proven relatively useful. Limited, but useful. So, okay, folks. Food for thought. And I'll be getting you more info as it comes. And, like I said, in about 2 weeks, I'll be down on the front lines helping the guys. And I'll bring you more information from the places it's happening. Go with God. Cheers.